Oh, hi. Sorry, it's a bit of a mess. We just had a baby. What an insane experience that was. Whew. Probably the most dramatic thing that will ever happen to me or us. Just ridiculously stressful, amazing, miraculous, mythical at one point. Laura was like a warrior queen. It was, we're going to make a video about it because I can't go into it. It was just so intense. I can't talk about it in like one video. It's anyway, welcome back to my series on the 12 steps of recovery. It's all crazy here. We're having like very little sleep. She's waking up every couple of hours. We're so in love. She's the best. She's such a little, I can't. So anyway, what I asked you incredible people to do was to send me your stories, because I had a feeling when the baby is born, it's going to be hard to make these videos for a couple of weeks. And I don't want to not give you a video because I know a lot of you really look forward to it. So I thought, why not hear some of your stories? This is really powerful. This is Kelly's story. I heard it and it really moved me because especially how it concerned her family and how once a drug addict or an alcoholic or a gambling addict or a sex addict or a food addict uses, that substance becomes the top priority for that person. And it's just physiologically how our brains are wired. It comes before everything. Family, friends, it just jumps to the top. If you're a cokehead, cocaine to the top. Forget the wife, forget the kids, forget the family, forget friends. Cocaine. The minute you have a line, top priority in your life. It happens instantly, and it's how an addict's mind is wired. I thought this really described that, and it really showed how using just completely took over her life, like it does with all of us. Before you watch it, please send me more because I'm loving seeing your videos. So please keep sending them. And I'm going to keep doing this, providing you like this approach. Send your stories to rfa12steps@gmail.com, rfa12steps@gmail.com. And I can feature you on my channel and your story can help people who are struggling. Here's Kelly's story.
Hi, my name is Kelly and I'm an alcoholic and an addict. My sober date is September 26th, 2018. So God willing, I'll be coming up on 2.5 years of continuous sobriety. I'm 42 years old, single mom of 2 amazing young men, and I live in Philadelphia. I'm really excited to share some of my story, my experience, strength, and hope. I have a sponsor. I work a 12-step program, and I love my life today. But the journey that it took for me to get here was not an easy one. And there was a lot of war stories in between then and now. I drank very heavily for almost 20 years. And in the middle of all that drinking, I got married, created a family, and created a world of chaos. I started drinking really heavily, alcoholically, I guess we could say, when I turned 21 and I was able to go to a bar. The epitome of a barfly. I would go in a bar from morning until closing and then find the after hours club. I was surrounding myself with people who drank like me, and I made friends with the bartenders. I became a bartender. I served tables for 25 years so I could be around alcohol. Life, and for me, was just a constant whirlwind of just going out, partying, drinking, never stopping. I met my husband when I was bartending, and we got married very quickly. We got married 8 months after we met, and we had 2 children. Within the span of 3 years, we created this world that most people wait years to create, right? So we had our first child 1 month shy of our first wedding anniversary, and our boys are 15 months apart. So when our oldest was 6 months, we got pregnant with our youngest. And we didn't stop. We didn't stop there. I certainly didn't stop. a week after I had an emergency C-section with my second son, where we both almost died, I was sitting at the bar with staples in my stomach. I didn't care. You know, a week-old baby sitting at home with his dad and my 15-month-old son, and I'm sitting at a bar drinking. And I saw nothing wrong with it. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. And that continued for a really long time. My life consisted of working jobs part-time so I could make drinking money. You know, my ex-husband worked a union job, so he wasn't necessarily a 9-to-5, but there was a steady income for us to drink and not pay our bills. Like, we never paid our bills. There were several occasions where the electricity was shut off, the gas was shut off, the water was shut off. And we would manipulate and lie to people, to family and friends to help us out. You know, oh, we've hit a rough patch, thinking all the while that nobody really knew about our drinking. But the truth of the matter is, we think we hide it well, but we really don't hide it well. So my ex-husband and I, we stayed married, together married for 15 years. And in the midst of all that, we were raising 2 boys in a very, very toxic and alcoholic household. We lost our first home to foreclosure. We moved into an apartment, which we had to leave after our year lease was up because we were behind on our rent. Then we moved into a small shoebox apartment, where we were all cramped together and we had to leave because we couldn't pay our rent. And we were able to find another home, a 3-bedroom home, which we managed to stay in for 7 years. But really, how we did is beyond me. I think we just pretty much made it every day, with asking family for money. He pulled a lot of overtime, so that bailed us out a few times. In the middle of all of this, we had this whole exterior persona that we were this really loving family. Like, we took vacations to the Jersey Shore, but we never had money for vacation. We stayed with family and we would go to the beaches, and the family would lend us money for the boardwalk and the rides and the food. Like, we never really truly had that facade we were creating. Like, we never had anything because all of our money went to alcohol. And it was a miserable, miserable way to live. And my children had to grow up with me walking all over them. Like, I would step over them for a bottle. I can remember waking up my then 3-year-old son and making him dig through his toy box so he could get out the $4 that my grandfather had given him for the ice cream man so that I could go get a pint of vodka. My 13-year-old son had gotten a PS3 for his birthday, and he didn't even have it for a month. And I convinced him to let me sell it back to GameStop so I could get that $25 to sit at the bar. And I remember him crying and me saying, you know, what's wrong? And he was like, I can never have anything good. Like, I can't have anything nice. And you would have thought that would have meant something to me at the time, but it didn't. And that continued for a long time. And then one day, I was introduced to cocaine, and that just ripped a hole through everything wider than alcohol. When I realized I could drink as much as I wanted, as long as I was high as a kite, it didn't matter. And in the midst of that addiction, on top of my alcoholism, I had a 3-year affair with another man. I went to rehab twice and I didn't stick and stay. I absolutely 100% didn't have any intentions on staying sober. And towards the end of my drinking, I had run away to a different state. And I had convinced myself to live with a man that I hadn't known for a really long time. I knew him when I was younger, but I was going to create this whole new life. But all I did was move my body and my address. Everything else, like my mind, all of that came with me. And I found myself driving 2.5 hours to and from this state to Philadelphia to still do the drugs that I wanted and the things that I wanted. And And I can remember one time I was in Philly and my oldest was graduating 8th grade, literally 2 blocks away from where I was sitting and snorting lines. And I couldn't be bothered to go to his graduation because I wanted to sit and snort lines. And then some circumstances happened that brought me back to, I don't want to say Philadelphia, because at this point I was kicked out of my house. My husband didn't want anything to do with me, my children, my mother, nobody. But my grandfather, my 90-year-old grandfather, said I could live with him in New Jersey. So the alcoholic in me went ding, 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 ding. I am going to be able to still do what I want to do and be closer to my kids and pretend to be mommy of the year. And of course it didn't work like that. And I was extremely depressed. And my grandfather was still working at the time at 90 years old. And here I'm living with him and I'm lying to him and I'm still doing drugs and I'm still drinking. And I'm so upset about the situation at home. And I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I sat on the floor of my grandfather's home and I had a bottle of whiskey that hadn't been opened since 1976. And I thought, I'm going to take every single pill that my grandfather has in his medicine cabinet and I am going to end my life. But I didn't want to die. I just wanted the pain to stop. I just wanted it to be over. So instead of doing what I wanted to do, I truly believe that my higher power took control and I called 911 on myself and I was taken to the nearest hospital where I had to detox. They released me with a bus pass and said, good luck. I managed to make it home to Philly, and my stepsister, who happens to be one of us, was able to talk to a friend of hers who just opened up a recovery house, and he had a bed for me. And I went to that recovery house, but I couldn't stay the first couple nights, because my urine was hot. Like I was still had alcohol. I still had cocaine in my system. So I had to detox in a hotel room by myself for 2 days, and nobody wanted anything to do with me. My mother told me she didn't believe a damn word that came out of my mouth. She had just lost 2 cats and her apartment in a fire, and here her daughter's, a raging drunken lunatic and cocaine addict. But I knew I was tired and I was done and I wanted something more for my life. I wanted to be that person. And when I got into the recovery house, I hit the ground running and I stayed there for a little while. And my sponsor, I met my sponsor there and she's still my sponsor today. I absolutely love her. That recovery house for me at 40 years old, I'm at a recovery house right at the time. I'm like, why am I in a recovery house? Like, I don't want some kid telling me what to do, but it laid the foundation for my life today. And I'm so eternally grateful for that. I had to do my 90 and 90. I had to get a sponsor. I had to work my steps. I had to do all the things. And in the beginning, I didn't think I was going to really do it for that long. I had that whole, I'll do this for a year and then I'll know how to drink and that's that. But, when they talk about a spiritual awakening and a change, like that happened for me. And, today my life is nothing the way it was. Today my life is more beautiful than I had ever imagined it could be. And that's an amazing thing that we learn, right? We learn that we don't have control of our lives. Like it's already planned out for us. And surrender and acceptance comes into play throughout all of this alcoholic's recovery. And I have never, I looked at myself the other day, I stood there and I looked around me and all the blessings that I have are just simply because I stay sober one day at a time by the grace of God and the fellowship that I'm in. I'm 42 years old and I'm starting my life like I should have, I guess, when I was in my 20s, but that's not what God's plan was, right? I am a real estate agent. I'm raising my boys, my 2 teenage sons, by myself. They're amazing. I love them. It was a long journey for them, but we have a relationship now beyond anything we ever had before. There's a trust, there's a bond, there's a trust. Because I consistently stayed sober. I kept doing the right thing. I keep doing the right thing. I keep putting one foot in front of the other. I'm studying to get my bachelor's degree in criminal justice. It's something I've always wanted to do. One day I'd like to have a career in politics, wherever that may lead. I don't know, but I'm ready for it as long as I just don't pick up one drink for one day. And I have to remind myself every day that I am only one drink away from being a drunk. And we are given a daily reprieve. So if you are new and you really are wondering why the hell you're trying all this, like what could possibly come from all this pain and suffering in the beginning, because it does suck. Early sobriety does suck at first. But if you hold on to your seat and you take the suggestions and you work the program, you work the steps, or whatever you do to keep yourself sober just one day at a time, I promise, the promises, like everything that you can imagine, there's a good life out there for all of you. Hold on. I have lost a brother-in-law to this disease. I just recently lost a friend to this disease, and another girl not too long ago that I knew lost her battle with this disease. And I live in Philadelphia, which, there's a section called Kensington, which is considered the heroin hub of the Eastern Seaboard. And it is like nothing you've ever experienced in your life. You can have a great life. You can do this. You just got to hold on and keep pushing for it. You deserve this. You are worth it in every sense of the word. So just stay. Please just stay, because we all need you. Thank you for letting me share my story.